goodbye forever. Honestly, TikTok might be the move. TikTok might be the best platform for anything. Content creation or otherwise. I hope Trump never bans it. Happy Pride Month, dude. Oh, man. Here you go. Let's fix this, brother. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to reality. Trump is bad. That's what we're all saying nowadays, huh? Trump is bad, in fact. Trump is really bad. Happy Pride Month. Hi. Drop a like. How you guys doing? Cool. Man. Okay, there's some clips from Tim Pool. All you do is study politics. Me too. It's really not good. Ah, da, 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 da. Oh my goodness. Snap back to reality. Whoops, there goes nuclear winter. Which of these are the good ones? Mom spaghetti. The balls are heavy. And Parmesan spaghetti. Parmesan is heavy. Parmesan spaghetti. Yeah, dude. Okay.
What's your view on why young men are basically moving over?
I think as a liberal, I'll be very clear, I am liberal. And I spent the last several months being asked this question by liberals and Democrats.
By the way, she looked incredibly weak in this conversation with Tim Pool. She said the words both sides like 5,000 times. She did terrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She had a terrible performance, okay? She had a terrible, terrible performance.
The answer is that the left kind of hates and fears masculinity broadly. I think it doesn't like it. And I think you can see that in the fact, I don't know if you know this, the APA, it's the American Psychiatric Association.
And I'm sorry, but I am salty. I am salty because on these platforms, we need really good representation. I don't need a both sides or to have these conversations who just wants to appease whoever's in front of them. For most of the conversation, it just was not good. I'm sorry.
This year they came up with rules and guides about how to treat men in therapy differently than women, and like tricks and stuff that they need to be aware of, right? And it's like, shouldn't be like 2025 where we're coming out with this stuff. I think that the left...
True point. Okay. There is a lack of studies on men, okay, for mental health. Now, for any medical study at all, they did not study women at all separately from men until 1991, I think it was, the 1990s, which she may bring up. I did see clips from this. I forget if she brought that up. But like the points where she really loses is she keeps on saying both sides. She keeps on debating progressives and placing the blame of America on the far left when the current president that they support literally dined with neo-Nazis, like Nick Fuentes. So somehow the left has a much smaller percentage of super radical people in it. The right has a far higher percentage of radicals, including known white nationalists in the White House right now. And Peter Thiel with Palantir, who wants to install Skynet and a full authoritarian surveillance state in America. But MAGA gets none of the criticism in this conversation. She relies almost solely on having to criticize the left. It's like all the worst aspects of Destiny, in female form. Like I know she grew her entire career from Destiny, but like it really is all the worst habits of someone like Destiny that she displayed in this conversation.
Left has just broadly neglected the male issue because it's been what's the word? Not politically correct to talk about.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And what say you, sir? Do you agree with that?
To some degree, yeah. I think men are moving to the right because men are more rational than women. You know, young men are shifting away because left-wing ideologies are kind of disconnected. They feel kind of disconnected from reality. You know, we're living in a society where, you know, we're having economic stresses, we're having, you know, geopolitical stresses, and men are seeking, you know, pragmatic solutions to like economic and social changes, valuing like free expression and preferring like empowerment over this like
that's
collective
happening.
guilt,
Empowerment, yes.
that seems to be like
empowerment
following us around like a cloud.
Yes.
So.
Indeed. What would you say to that before I jump in? He said,
Wait, what is the argument there? The argument is men are better than women, and men are stronger, and men are better, and men do good things, and therefore men are right. Therefore I win. Like, what is the argument there? How do you respond to what that dumbass just said?
Men are more rational than women.
Yeah, and liberal ideologies are, how did you describe it? Not rational or not?
It seems like young men are experiencing sort of like a disconnect from like left-wing political narratives. Like it's not like they don't make sense to especially young men and even older men like myself, like starting a family. I'm looking at what world my young men are going to have to grow up in, what world my children are going to have to grow up in.
Yeah, when I look at young men and young women especially, I think most people are not very rational. I don't really give rational points to most people or most voters in general. I think women are like influenced a lot, whether they like it or not, by things like hormones, right? I think women's like hormonal fluctuation is daily, men's are like monthly. But at the same time, you know, you'll point to...
I'll just say, again, most of the grown men in my life growing up, like 9 out of 10 were alcoholics, okay? And the women kept everything together. So the fact she leads, okay, I'm sorry, but the word pick me, the word pick me comes to mind. Like the men I know, they would rather put their fist through a wall and punch a hole in the wall before talking about their emotions because they're so weak and fragile mentally. They can't handle talking about their emotions. They don't act emotionally because they cannot handle it. Okay, they're weak. That's why they're not emotional. So you can say women are more emotional, but you need to add the caveat that they are more in touch with emotions and can handle them better, meaning they are more mentally tough in most scenarios that involve critical thinking and intellectually processing emotions. Okay. You need to add that caveat. You cannot just say, oh, women do have hormone fluctuations. It's just...
Point to like women like crying maybe over something that they shouldn't cry about, or being soft and maybe enabling in an area that they shouldn't be. But then you'll see men like punching holes in walls and like doing crime. And so this argument...
Okay, she brought that. Okay, good. Thank you. But like when she finishes, and I'm all about messaging and communications, okay, and rhetoric. When she finishes her point, okay, she needs to make sure she hits it in a way that can refute the narrative the guy is giving her, okay? The narrative that men are just rational and politically speaking, men should be leaders. That's the argument he's making.
That like men are just more rational than women. It's like, well, no, like different emotional systems and different arguments appeal to each of these groups because each of these groups are fundamentally self-interested. And I think what's failed on the left is to make any appeal to anything for young men. The left hasn't offered young men anything. There's nothing that would be appealing to a young man when you look at left policy, but there's lots of things that are appealing to young women.
Policy? What policies? Please explain.
And so I think if Democrats want to talk to young men, they have to talk to young men. But I don't think it falls as simply down to like rational versus...
I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, she says, I don't think it falls to just simply rational. I
think that's like a flat...
Rational or not?
I think...
Like, bro, the arguments young men make to me about why they support Republicans, the policy is essentially, Democrats are gay. Democrats are gay and they support gay stuff. Like, bro, I'm sorry, but her answer there, and this is probably one of her stronger, it's just, I'm sorry. The narrative wars, the narratives matter. I'm going to die watching stuff like this.
I think that modern liberal orthodoxy is antithetical to masculinity, and that the
modern liberal orthodoxy,
the men who remain on the liberal side are largely what we call, and I quote, this is a biological term, sneaky fuckers. Are y'all familiar with that term?
Yep.
Are you familiar with sneaky fucker?
Lay it out for me.
So in biology, there are some species. There's an example of one fish where there's two different types of males, large and small. The large male earns favor with the females by being strong and powerful.
Oh, yeah.
The sneaky fucker goes in the middle of the night and inseminates the eggs and flees.
Yeah.
And so largely I see.
Is Tim Pool the strong and powerful one here? Is Tim Pool the strong one? Is he the strong man? Is Charlie Kirk? Is Ben Shapiro? Is Benny Johnson? Is Matt Walsh? Are they the strong men we're discussing here? Are they the Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance? Like, are these the Marco Rubio? Are these the strong men in our society? I'm just trying to think about this.
What you're saying, and my view is, and obviously not absolute. There's a lot of men who actually are into leftist liberal ideology. I'm just saying I think it's a generality that an ideology that the orthodoxy focuses on oppressors, who has the power, is going to be antithetical to a man who is seeking to empower himself and become strong. And then what you end up with is among millennials, the data in 2018 was that 70% of millennial women were Democrat, 30% were conservative, and 55% of millennial men were conservative, and 45% were Democrat. The data.
Someone said Happy Veterans Month. Hey, buddy, you realize that you not knowing what the actual Veterans Month is probably really stupid and also dumb. You hate vets. You don't care about vets. If you are a vet, you're probably a very, very silly goose. Okay, you're probably a silly goose because you did not say Happy Military or Vet Month during the actual month for it. You just say it now because you have to override Pride Month. Because whenever you see gay men kissing, you get gay thoughts, and you're really uncomfortable about your gay thoughts. And I really hope you resolve that someday.
Data probably changed, but I think you get a large portion of weaker.
Ooh, we get back-to-back MAGA comments. My MAGA comments are the best. The next comment said, 2 Jews. Well. I love MAGA.
Males who find their path towards, I guess, sexual marketplace success in being the male feminist pandering to women, telling them what they want to hear so that they can earn favor. Well, as the other guys.
Someone said, what are you going on about? The same person that said the military month thing or the vets month thing? Oh, don't worry about it. Just sit there and look pretty, honey. Just sit there and look pretty. I know you don't get the big words. I know you don't get that. That's why you take care of the kids. We do the big boy thinking,
Are defiant dude bros chest bumping. And that's an exaggeration, but that's, you get the idea.
Yeah, I think there's something. So like the sneaky fucker is very fun. In Evo human psych, there's not like a ton of evidence for this as like a mating strategy. It's more like birds that do this. But this idea that I think is actually more true, that I think is more grounded on reality that we're talking about, is this idea that essentially for you to perform well as a man in the liberal space, there has to be a certain level of like castigation you have to do toward masculinity and like a promotion of femininity that's almost exclusively performative, right? Especially.
You know what I do? If someone says something really dumb to me that is like actually misandrist, that hates men, I say, you know what? That person is not that smart. I'm not going to listen to them. They have a bad strategy, a bad approach, and they're not cool. But I don't like being wrong about things, so I'm not going to be emotional and become a Republican. I'm going to still believe the right things, even if I get offended sometimes by the way the left talks about men. Okay, I'm not going to change my entire ideological position because some liberals speak in a way that seems a little bit anti-white man, okay? Because some liberals do. Some progressives do. But also, on the other side, it means being on the same team as literal neo-Nazis and KKK members, and the same side as Palantir and Peter Thiel and Skynet, 1984-style authoritarianism. And I'd much rather say, you know what, super far lefties, you're wrong about the way you frame men all the time. It's not a good approach, okay? It's not good to use these academic terms. These academic terms are not good. I'd rather say that and be on their side on some issues. I'd rather be on their side for some issues. And I know there's a big disagreement here, but I'd rather be on their side than be on the KKK, neo-Nazi, Palantir, Peter Thiel, authoritarian surveillance state side, okay?
Because as a woman, I wouldn't say liberals are like inherently better at like certain forms of sexism, right? Like there's a lot of times where I feel like just my existence, I just don't get respected as much like at a default, even in liberal spaces. And so what I think happens is there's a lot of performativity.
Someone said, do you think you are white? Dude, MAGA brings race into every conversation. Their brains are literally broken. It's kind of sad.
And in the case of on the left, we've had this issue where if you want to be left-coded, and by left-coded I mean perform, appear, and feel left. You've got the language, usually some aesthetic, right? I appear more left than I appear right. I've got like a choker on and whatnot. In all these ways, if you want to perform left, you have to do some level of service to femininity.
I'm sorry, bro, but like I need the counter narrative here. Okay, I need Republicans being completely cucked out and saying that Donald Trump is a big, strong, father-like figure, bro. Do you know how many grown men I know that said Donald Trump is a big, strong, father-like figure to them, like father-like? Big and strong and masculine bravado, Donald Trump. Best friends with P. Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein, oiled baby lotion hands. Donald Trump, little tiny lotion board on third base ass hands. You know, head ass looking like a fried something because he's stupid and orange. You know, orange joke, haha, he's orange, haha. But like, seriously, bro, the level of emasculation on the right, I would not be able to handle that, okay? Compared to the left, I would not be able to handle the way the right makes you completely just abandon every part of yourself as a man or as a person to just be a part of a cult and to never question anything on the right, okay? I mean, you might get yelled at on the left for questioning things, but you get kicked out on the right, all right? You got to believe the wackiest. You got to believe the wackiest. You got to believe the wackiest shit to be on the right, bro.
And if you're going to talk about masculinity, you have to caveat and couch it within these other things. That's how I kind of view it, which if you're a young man, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, well, where am I?
maybe that's a good way to put it. It's just easier to be on the right. You don't really have to do a whole lot.
What she just said, I know I'm pausing a lot, but she just said, okay, white people, white men in general, want their own form of identity politics. And Trump is white man identity politics, okay? That's all she just said. White men want to feel like they are seen. They want to feel like they are heard. They want their emotions to be experienced, and they want to have their experienced emotions and realities shown in the way their politics are displayed. Okay, so what she just said, very non-eloquently, okay, in a very terrible manner, in a poor way, like a really bad, rhetorically, like really ineffective way, is they want white man identity politics. And that's where you get white identitarian politics and nativism from Trump. And Trump fulfills white identity politics. But the left only does identity politics. The left does identity politics for pretty much every other group except men, especially against, or except white men, okay? There's not really identity politics except Tim Walz on the left for white men, all right? They want other identity politics that really cushion their feelings for them.
Yeah, and
you could sit around eating chicken wings as long as you're talking about football and you don't say weird leftist things. The right's going to be okay with you.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's one thing that I was wanting to point out.
Okay, wait. Let me hear what Tim Pool just like. She got walked on. Okay, I'm gonna be mean. I don't care. She got walked on this entire conversation, bro. She got walked on. She got literally just like, it's kind of.
That's a good way to put it. It's just easier to be on the right. You don't really have to do a whole lot.
Yeah, and
you could sit around eating chicken wings as long as you're talking about football and you don't say weird leftist things. The right's going to be okay with you.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was wanting to point out too, is that I think that, you know, they're moving right because at least the right is listening, or at the very least they're just like, cool.
Oh yeah,
you know, what I mean? Like you're saying, you can just sit on the couch
at least they're listening
with the bros a little bit to a degree.
Like imagine if a black feminist trans Muslim came on here and said, I like the left because at least they're listening to me about my experience and my emotions and my identity. Like literally what this guy just said about white men on the right. Like Republicans would be jumping down in the comment section saying the most like daddy Trumpish comments in the world. And I think it's good. I think it's completely valid. Okay? I think it's completely valid for white men to not want to be disrespected. Okay? Because there is a lot of actual disrespect that is not pragmatic for the goal of social justice, because you're giving ammunition. That's not a good word to use anymore. You're giving you're giving a lot of leverage rhetorically to white nationalists who want to use the language to say, like, you know, you see the left hates white men. Come to our side. You're helping them if you don't act more pragmatically with your language.
When you're disagreeing with right-wingers, they're not going to destroy your lives. So you're both maybe on the right, but I'm probably a little more farther right, or you're a little closer to the center. You're not going to be ostracized for this. On the left, you have like a large
brother. Donald Trump is raising money to primary Thomas Massie, bro. Thomas Massie literally just said, "Hey Trump, your budget raises our national debt by more than any budget in American history. So I'm not going to vote for it because I want to cut the deficit." Okay, and Trump wants to primary Massie. Trump said Thomas Massie is not a real American. Okay, a minor policy disagreement where Thomas Massie, ironically, is the principled Republican, and Trump is pissed that one Republican out of the whole Congress, okay, one Republican is against him on one issue. All right, and he's pissed.
Shift going extreme left, and these people are like tearing down even their own. I think that the Democrat Party and left currently is actually kind of fighting with it.
Oh yeah, the Democrat Party. I am only saying the at least on YouTube, the Republican Party, bro. If they're gonna say Democrat Party to be stupid, like obviously it's Democratic Party, Republican Party. You're not gonna say Republic Party. It just sounds stupid. You're saying it to be like a kid. Okay, you're the Republicucks. Okay. If we're Democrat, you're Republicucks.
Itself a lot too.
Well, I define wokeness as cult-like adherence to liberal social orthodoxy, and the reason for it is you get a lot of people on the right and they say that wokeness is critical race theory, critical gender theory, Marxist. Well, that's not correct. While that is a large component of liberal orthodoxy, support for Ukraine does not fall into that. People try to shoehorn it in by saying, "Oh, but Ukraine is the weaker, being oppressed by the Russians," and I'm like, that doesn't explain NATO expansionism. NATO expansionism is not Russia is small compared to NATO. NATO is encroaching on Russian space. There's a big debate over that. So the oppressor oppresses.
Big debate on that, dude.
Islam being the second.
Yo, by the way, shout out Ukraine today, bro. One of the most covert and advanced FPV drone attacks in modern warfare history. Okay, not Call of Duty. But like Ukraine today, what they were able to do, launching these drones so deep into Russia, to take out so many bombers from their fleet, bro. That was actually like so based, bro. Like shout out Ukraine today, bro. Ukraine, that would like, they did not even inform like the U.S. for example. It was so covert, probably planned with I assume like Germany and France. European countries, because if they would have told America ahead of time, then Russia would have known, because America gives intel to Russia now because Trump loves Russia. So they did not tell America. They used these shipping containers, and they had secret compartments in them, and these drones launched out. They took out a bunch of Russian bombers. Dude, it's so, look it up, dude. Google that story. Hell yeah. Tim Pool's funder is getting bombed. Good times. Yeah, Tim Pool's funded by Russia, by the way.
Biggest religion in the world and a strong theocratic, fundamentalist, militaristic religion also doesn't quite make sense. It is the adherence to the modern liberal orthodoxy, which is relatively amorphous. And so I pulled up just this real quick example. The four lights from Star Trek. Are you guys familiar with the four lights?
I'm not.
Star Trek: The Next Generation, Captain Picard. Oh, everybody's not a Trekkie is groaning. Don't care. Captain Picard is captured by an enemy faction. He's brought into a torture room where the enemy commander has four lights above him, and he says, "How many lights do you see?" And Picard says, 4, and then he gets electrocuted. And he says, "You are incorrect. There are 5 lights." And now, how many lights do you see? And Picard says, 4, and he gets electrocuted again. And the whole episode basically finally ends with him screaming in the face of the commander, "There are 4 lights," which becomes a cultural meme, especially from among millennials and those who watch The Next Generation grew up with it. The captain refused to bow to a false reality he was being forced to through pain of punishment. That's how I view a lot of younger guys.
This is so deep, bro. He was forced to endure a false reality. This is very comparable to my situation in America.
And a lot of people on the right, a lot of post-liberals, former liberals, whatever. The left is...
Yo, this guy in chat, Parker Studios, is really amazing, all right? When it comes to Republicucks, he's definitely a number one. All right, he says, F Ukraine. All right, F Ukraine. First off, all right, I thought you just don't want to fund Ukraine. Apparently you're pro-Russia. Also, two bad Joes. When he said two, it's TWO. So 2 bad Joes still not in charge. Are there 2 bad Joes? There's 2 of them? There's 2 bad Joes. Okay, there's 2 bad Joes still not in charge, getting kickbacks from Ukraine. Okay, another classic. And then what's a woman? Completely unrelated to the conversation. But again, Trumpers, they are AI bots. Okay, so they're on a loop. You can just say words and they'll keep on saying the same dialogue tree. So like it's just how things are. I respect them. I appreciate them. I know they were born different from others, and I hope they know I respect their ability to do what they love to do in public, and that's what Pride Month is all about. Okay.
Demanding you adhere to things that are completely false. Otherwise, they will cause you pain. They will take your job.
He said F Russia, and then he said I'm for America. Oh, you know, you should probably say W Ukraine then if you're really pro-America, considering Russia puts bounties on U.S. troop heads and funds proxy and random terrorist groups to go after U.S. soldiers. Like, if you really want to go that way about like loving America, then you probably should love it. You should love it when Russia gets 30% or 40%. What is the percentage of their fleet that was destroyed today? Was it 30%? It's a big blow to them because their production capacity sucks. China is helping bolster Russia. It's an interesting little thing going on there.
Job, you will be kicked out of social circles. The right has no such precepts. To be that is a bit as absolute. The right certainly has some, but
and
it is.
Now, I would also put a timeline on this. I think it's really important to look at a timeline. So I was actually watching your conversation with Bill Maher, or Bill Maher. How do you pronounce his last name?
Maher, I guess. Maher.
Bro. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll take your phone calls in a second if you'd like. It pisses me off that she doesn't know how to say Bill Maher. It makes me mad. Someone who is that online should probably know how to pronounce that name. I'm just saying. There's no way. I've never heard it pronounced the way she said. Like,
Maher.
Send it, yeah.
And he pointed out to you something
just
that I
mad
think is
about
really
that. I don't
important,
know
where
why.
he talked about like, well, yeah, the left and the right, when we're talking about it from like 2016 to now, I think I agree broadly with your narrative. I might not use like all the same language. Like, I don't call it cult, like I call it religious.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture.
I don't call it cult like I call it religious. Yeah, so when it comes to how clear her language is, 0 out of 10. Maybe 1 out of 10. When it comes to her approach, I mean, she can have a conversation, but it's bad, bro. It's bad. Bad state of affairs out here for liberal content creators. I hope she says both sides again. That'll really help move the needle over. Move the needle to help move the needle against MAGA. Okay. Drop a like, comment, subscribe. I'll take some callers if you want to call in. Nice. No, not Tim Pool. Her, not him. Her, the guest. I was not talking about Tim Per. I got an awesome. You guys are awesome. MAGA's awesome, bro. I'll put myself through some more pain. Maybe I can show better. I feel like I'm being too mean to her. Okay, let's see another video clip from their podcast. That was 10 hours long. Let's see. So young men abandon the left. America is not a democracy. Liberals encourage their base to abandon their family. The liberals are wait, what? The liberals said to abandon your family?
Abandon your family necessarily. They're making you fight with your family.
Well, I got to pause you there.
They're not making you abandon your family. They're making
Prominent left personalities have said, cut off your family. Even on MSNBC, they've said, don't show up to Thanksgiving. Was it Jen Psaki who was like, don't go to Thanksgiving with your family if they support Trump or something? Maybe it wasn't her, but this is MSNBC.
Sure, I imagine that there are.
We saw a wave of this after 2016 when he got elected the first time, which admittedly I wasn't paying as much attention then. And honestly,
as opposed to the prominent MAGA creators who say things such as, hey, we should suspend habeas corpus in the Fifth Amendment for all Americans, citizens and non-citizens. You know, I prefer liberal commentators giving spicy social takes, okay, that even if I disagree with them. Like, my position would be, like, if your family member supports Trump super hardcore, they probably believe things such as the 2020 election was stolen, they probably believe in a bunch of other like random, just like QAnon theories. If someone is disconnected from reality and suffering from major psychosis, then like if that person is bad for your health, and if they harass you, if you cannot be around them comfortably, don't force yourself if you cannot. That does not mean cut off your family members for having different opinions or for being a little silly. But I mean, I know some people that are super far gone to the point of almost like mental illness. So, like, that's a different conversation, obviously.
I followed a little bit more of your kind of line. I actually followed you a lot more in, like, 2018 because I was all...
Didn't Donald Trump just say he's happy Joe Biden got cancer, by the way? Yeah, he did. He did say that. Those pesky liberals are so divisive.
Also, like coming from the left around 2016, getting into politics when I started a family and stuff, you saw a wave of people getting, all this pushback saying not to, just what you're saying, not to talk to your family. All these videos, and then now again, you're seeing the same thing on TikTok. Waves of them after. Well,
who's that one?
I stopped talking to my family because
sure, but we don't use
voted for X.
We have to be really cautious, right? So as somebody who's on the left, right, who is friends with lots of people on the left, grew up fundamentalist right, by the way. I don't cut off anyone in my life. I have lots of conservative family. I would never cut them off. I'm very close to my neighbor who is a dogged libertarian.
Yeah, but the exception doesn't make the rule.
Someone said, no, Trump did not say that. He said he was a clone. Yeah, Trump did say Joe Biden is a clone who got executed in 2020. Yeah, Trump did say that. But, that's normal because he's Trump, so we expect him to be brain dead. So it's normal when he's brain dead. All right, so he can never, do anything wrong if he's always wrong. I mean, that's just Trump. It's just Trump. He just says things that are incorrect and really insane, batshit crazy. But that's him. It's just him, brother. But yeah, he did say about Biden, I don't feel bad for him. In fact, he's very vicious, so I don't feel bad for him. If you say that about someone, I know y'all are suffering from self-induced autism. But if you say that about someone, you are happy they have cancer. Okay. You just said you're happy they have cancer. If you cannot say, wow, that sucks, and move on, even someone I don't like, I'd be like, wow, that sucks. I don't want to see someone go through cancer. Cancer's a bad thing. I don't like cancer in general. No, Trump has to say, oh, he's vicious. I actually don't care that he got it. It's like, okay, yeah. I mean, that's him saying he's happy. Whoa.
Rule.
No,
we're talking in general.
This is my argument, right? There are loud, squeaky wheels that we need to do on the left a better job of policing. It is better if the left goes, hold on, that's crazy. Okay, we don't agree with this. The left's problem is that we don't kick out our extreme left, not that the extreme left represents the broad group. The problem.
Thank goodness Donald Trump only dined with Nick Fuentes and other known neo-Nazis and has white nationalists in his cabinet and is friends with people like Steve Bannon and Michael Flynn, known, paid by Russia propagandists. Good thing Donald Trump is only trying to work with Peter Thiel and Palantir to install a mass surveillance database of every single American. Google it. It's happening. But yeah, the left needs to kick out the radicals, bro. The right does not suffer at all from being very friendly to neo-Nazis. But the left, dude, we have some loud college kids. Therefore, thank you, Kyla Erudite, dude. You're doing so good for the left. I really appreciate your appearance here. Problem with
really the left, especially my side, is that we're kind of cowardly and soft and status quo. And so we don't.
Wait a second. Wait.
Don't kick out our extreme left. Not that the extreme left represents the broad group. The problem with the left, especially my side, is that we're kind of cowardly and soft and status quo. And so we don't speak up to our extreme fringe left, which is why the far left progressives have so much more ability to speak, despite the fact that their actual functional policies are only pretty weakly represented within the Democratic Party. The Biden-Obama party is the strong party within the Democrat Party.
So how do you define what...
They believe Biden and Obama are both terrorists who want to kill children and turn them gay and trans, okay? They believe Obama and Biden are communists, all right? And they don't believe this because... they don't believe this because of any rational reason. They believe it because they're in a cult, okay? The left does have a problem spreading influence in general. But phrasing it as if the left is making some type of moral failing or cowardice is the issue for the left, it's a much more complicated problem. Sure, those things can be present in both parties and both sides, but the big issue is the right wing has an unrelenting, power-focused propaganda message and a propaganda powerhouse. That they have all the social media guys working for them now. They have all the best propagandists. They're willing to lie about anything. Their propaganda is very effective. They don't change a lie, even if they're caught in a lie. Their propaganda is actually one of the most complicated propaganda regimes in American history. Okay, that is the big issue here. And Democrats do too much good faith. The Democrats do have a problem with the left representing parts of their message, but that's not the issue about MAGA. MAGA is a different issue because any reasonable, rational person would never say, well, I can't vote Democrat because there's 5 college kids who say something I don't like. So I'm going to join the side that has a majority of neo-Nazis on it. No rational person would say that.
left means. What does it mean to be on the left?
I mean, it's like spectrumal, right? But like essentially you're probably going to be pro-welfare state. You're probably going to be pro like trans, gay, LGBTQ. So you're going to be like economically and socially left by and large.
So, but you use you use left in the definition. So
Someone said, Trump don't want me to pretend a guy is girl. Brother, please, 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 please get your handler. Please, please, please. Your iPad time is expired for tonight, bro. Please.
Probably going to be pro like trans, gay, LGBTQ. So you're going to be like economically and socially left by and large.
So, but you use you use left in the definition. So pro trans.
Sure. So yeah, when I use left in the definition because I think we know, but like when I say socially left, it's usually like you're chill with gay people getting married. You don't really care if trans people exist.
What does that mean? You don't care if trans people?
Oh man, dude. Okay, so if I need to explain what does socially left mean, it means I believe in freedoms from government. Okay, on social issues. So if you want to smoke weed, if you want to be gay, if you want to be trans, not that you want to be. They don't control that, all right? They don't control that. And MAGA should know since they fantasize about gay people all the time. But yeah, you would talk about like, what is our relation to government power? Because authoritarians on the right, they want to use state power to crack down on social issues to an extent that is similar to like Saudi Arabia with their policies on things like abortion, death penalty, gay marriage, or same-sex marriage, sorry. So like you need to phrase it with the opposite side. You have to frame it with the counter narrative in mind. Am I bad at messaging and they're good at it? Is she good at messaging and I'm bad? I just don't know, man. I just feel like someone so media trained with all these, and I am salty to anyone who gets big microphones because of their relationship with different people. Maybe they do good in certain scenarios, but it's just so annoying at this time in history to hear her making these arguments, I guess.
Like you're probably going to support them transitioning, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Economic left would be welfare state. You're going to be pro social safety net, and you're probably going to be pro regulation of the market. Right? These are typically what we view as left policies.
What about? I mean, there are people on the right that are trans themselves, are pro adults being allowed to trans and do whatever they want. They're pro welfare state. They're moderate on abortion, but they're still called right.
Well, there's kind of two problems. One is that
Okay, she is gonna blame the far left. All right. So what happens here is the far left is considered to be the whole party, okay, or the whole party is considered to be far left, and then the right wing says what the far left believes, and everyone believes the right wing's framing of the far left. So is she going to blame right wingers for distorting that and using their propaganda apparatus and maybe throwing some, attack points back at right wingers, or is she just going to say the far left is bad and far left does bad things, and I'm not like the other girls. I'm not like the other girls. I'm not like the other far leftists.
Politics has devolved. I mean, I get called right by a lot of like further left people.
Oh, yes, dude. Yes. It's the far left calling her right. I don't think. Okay, so people call my channel far left. I'm definitely not. I can't stand far lefties, okay? But I would never use that kind of rhetoric in this conversation. Would anyone in my audience call her a right winger? Like, I wish right wingers were like this in the real world. I just like, unless if you're just like reading Hassan and the far left socialists on the internet that are far, 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 far left, ineffective losers that just like harass people on Twitter for fun and do Ethan Klein debates. Like, I just don't know what community you have to go to that says, oh, someone like her is on the right.
Right. So if you want to have, the issue is I can talk to you about the far left and I can talk to you about the liberals and like the space that I'm a part of. And so whichever one you want me to like, speak to, I can. Okay. In my group, I would say, I'm not sure. You're probably somewhere politically on the spectrum on like moderate, maybe shifting right. I don't know like all of your policies necessarily, but you'd probably be somewhere in the moderate like center space. But performatively, they're going to feel like you were demonstrably right-wing, particularly if your audience is demonstrably right-wing. The way that the far left would view that is that you're far right because they don't even think the Democrat Party is truly left.
Oh, her brain is poisoned by online content. Her brain is poisoned. Poisoned. Her brain is poisoned. Her brain is poisoned. Her brain is poisoned by online interactions, dude. Her brain is poisoned with online interactions. I'm sorry, but come on, dude. Come on, dude. What's going on? What's going on here? I'm doing something real quick. 1 second. Give me a moment. I gotta do something. I'm doing something on my computer. I will resume the video in 1 second. I promise. I promise. 1 second. 1 second. It's almost ready. I'm not showing you what it is until very much later. Very much later. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. I'll take your phone calls in a few seconds. I'm just trying to get this running really quick. Actually, no, I'm not gonna do this right now. I'm gonna wait. How about we do this? Okay.
Right wing. The way that the far left would view that.
Wait, dude. Wait.
It may be shifting right. I don't know like all of your policies necessarily, but you'd probably be somewhere in the moderate like center space. But performatively, they're going to feel like you were demonstrably right wing, particularly if your audience is demonstrably right wing. The way that the far left would view that is that you're far right because they don't even think the Democrat Party is truly left, right?
So let's start here. Like we were talking about young men wanting to adhere to reality. They're tired of being told there are 5 lights when there are 4. And the trans issue is a really great example. It relates to the broader political correctness, but you can't get your average left liberal, I mean both, even a member of Congress, to define woman.
Yeah.
If you're a young guy entering the political space and you see an interaction where a woman says to another woman in Congress, what is a woman? And well, I'm not a biologist. I can't answer that. You're a young guy going, what the fuck?
A woman has a vagina, except for the ones that don't.
Fuck.
Sure.
Now, I think for young women, they're saying, I think women are motivated by social hierarchy and social order. Women are subject-oriented on average. Men are object-oriented on average. So that's why I think we get this divide. Young men say, that is insane. Whereas women say, you're speaking out against the group. Yeah. Against the collective.
Well, and it's a bit of a joke too to say, men are more rational, but it is true that men are more pragmatic. They're more based in logic and reason, and women can operate a little more emotionally. And so I think they're in fear of hurting the feelings. Like even, I've had discussions with like close, female friends of mine, and we have, children, and we're discussing things like this, and they're also afraid of what their children are going to grow up in, what their children are going to be taught, because the leaders of society can't even define, what things are.
Right.
Based off of what you're saying.
Pure inconsistencies like 10-year-olds can't get tattoos but can get puberty blockers. Right. And so when you ask, like, what's the logic of telling children they can't permanently alter their bodies when they're minors, except in this one instance. Mm-hmm. Additionally, you said that one of the things about being left is you're going to be okay with transition and things like this. Then you have the question from...
she just goes, She goes, Good response. Good response. Even Joe Rogan with Matt Walsh, when Matt Walsh said there's millions of kids getting puberty blockers, and they Googled it, and it was like 5 kids or some crazy low number. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not legal anywhere. Like, it's hard to find that even happening. There are debates on that. Okay. But the idea there's like a broad consensus on that is insane. But yeah, comparing tattoos to a medical or psychiatric evaluation or whatever is really stupid. Oh, kids can take Tylenol, but they can't get tattoos. Kids can go on ADHD meds. Oh, but you probably think kids cannot go on ADHD meds because we can tell parents and families not to listen to medical providers on anything at all. It's whatever, dude. There's like kids, for example, who have a level of like ADHD that they can't like stop harming themselves like physically. And for those kids, they'll be put on like Adderall at like a very young age, even when they're like 4 or 5 years old, because they keep harming themselves, or even younger, I think. Very small doses, but they need to be on something to help them not harm themselves, because their ADHD, whatever it is, makes them very hyperactive, and they do things that physically do hurt themselves. So a doctor might say, hey, we're going to prescribe this because we need to help fix this issue. Now, that is a big thing, right? It's a very big thing, but we know through medical research, we know through different trials, we know through the treatment of actual patients that this is a good course of action under these scenarios. Now, if doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists and whoever else decides, okay, well, this is a good plan of action for this group of people, it's probably not the government. It's probably not the government's job to regulate it. If a vast majority, 99% of doctors or 95% of doctors agree on a certain way to do things.
From young guys and from people in general, why is this the one DSM-5 disorder that we affirm and the others we don't? And there's no answers for this.
Well, there's an answer. It's because transition seems to reduce
There's no answers
suicidality
for
by
anything.
60%.
False.
That's not false. This is like repeated on.
Define suicidality.
Suicidality is in attempts.
That's incorrect.
Kyle said the number one use of puberty blockers is for male children with precocious puberty.
It's not incorrect. This is
Chase-
Oh, that is
unquestioned.
a thing where
Chase,
someone's growing too quick. And
what was
a
the
bunch of
Supreme
other
Court argument from the
stuff going on
ACLU?
there.
Did you listen to that? The ACLU's lawyer said, in fact, it does not, to the Supreme Court. And so what we look at is...
Yeah, that'd be a good response too. Like, which tattoo are you going for medical reasons, and which specialist are you seeing to get the tattoo? And honestly, it's kind of funny if there was an analogous situation. Let's say there was a situation, and there's a medical condition where if a child got a tattoo, they would stop having life-crippling migraines, okay? And they would live a life of no depression and being happy and whatever else. Like, I hate doing hypotheticals or anything to do with random examples like this, but like, we would still say that's okay, all right? It's not like getting a random tattoo. It would be a medical procedure at that point, which is why it's stupid for Temple to bring up, but it's whatever. I don't care.
Here's where I'm at. Don't care about whatever the DSM mental disorder is, be anorexia, bulimia, pica, don't care. What's the treatment? We find that the existing scientific research says that desistance rates, not detransition, desistance, where a child who is trans entering puberty simply desists from being trans, is greater than chance. Some estimates between 65 to 90%. Mm-hmm. Suicidal ideation is around 37 to 40% among people who do transition. That would imply there is a greater possibility to reduce suicidal ideation by not intervening with medical treatment. That's
and the other option is actually to affirm the birth given gender. I tried to look up some studies for this, and I don't think there's ever been any studies done where they're specifically on people who have body dysmorphia or trans, ideology or whatever, and think they're another gender and are trying to transition, being given the like testosterone if they're male and estrogen if they're female. But there are studies that have been done that are given to patients who have depression. And I'm pretty sure there's a handful of studies that were double blind where they give them testosterone or estrogen and it decreases their depression.
Someone said, doesn't anyone... Yeah, you can call in a second, buddy. I'm taking my time. I'm making content I enjoy making, okay? If I pause a lot, I don't care. I'm going to have a good time doing content, okay? I've decided. Doesn't anybody remember how awkward middle school was? Puberty was weird to go through. My wife says she was a hardcore tomboy, and it took her a while to be comfortable becoming a woman. All right, so like the situation of your wife being a tomboy and being uncomfortable not transitioning, but like growing into a woman, okay, developing into a woman, whatever word you want to use. That is different from what we're talking about here, okay? So if if your wife saw a psychologist when she was a kid, they would not have gone with this course of action, okay? They would not have done this, okay? There are people that go in and they are just having like puberty issues. That's why we have psychiatrists, people that go to school for friggin' 25 years, people that go to school or they dedicate their entire lives to these fields of study to make these determinations, okay? We don't just go off of our like my experience. I can't just say, well, I feel this way, so therefore everyone will. Like, I don't have depression, therefore no one has depression. So I was able to deal with it this way. I could do it this way. I was able to simply grow wings out of my ass and fly away. Why can someone else not do that? I don't understand. It's just like different people have different causes and different symptoms and different diagnoses. And we should not have the government interfere with the medical process with a state certified or with medical boards and board certified doctors. If you're a board certified doctor with all the ethics requirements there, that should be your limiting principle. Okay, the government in most cases should not be making laws about what doctors can do when it comes to treatments of a patient under their medical license.
Depression rates.
Sure. So this is where I want to go back to this timeline conversation, right? I'm not here interested in defending the crazy left. Most of my career was spent fighting them, right? I fought most of these people most of my career because I believe...
And they today would have told her to cut off her boobs and take hormone blockers. No, okay, so buddy, I'm saying that would not be true. Okay, I'm saying that the individuals in these situations are different from what your wife was experiencing. It's a completely different thing. You want to say it's the same thing because that's how you understand it, but like I want you to just consider for a second that you don't know everything. You're not God. No one made you God. You're not Jesus Christ. You don't know the ultimate truth of every single person. You don't know more than psychiatrists and doctors and psychologists. And when I say those different things, appealing to those authorities, I mean 99% of them, okay? A very high percentage of the experts in these fields agree in one direction. Like the band, like the band One Direction, which is why they're all gay.
Believe that if the left wants to represent anything, they need to have a strong back. They need to believe in something, and they need to kick out their extremists, right? And I think that the left failed to do that. The issue is that a lot of people are looking at the left and right, and they're looking 2016 to now, and they're not looking at, say, 2016 to 1970.
Yeah, but you would consider yourself to be probably in support of that position, right?
Which position?
About, gender affirming care.
It depends on what you mean when you say gender
For children,
care.
specifically.
By and large, I'm pretty skeptical about the process by which we
You would
properly evaluate children.
Generally support it, though, right?
If it's managed better, right now, I think it's too experimental. I think it's too
you're right wing.
But you separate yourself from the left, the extreme left, and like as more of a lay person, sort of on the right. I mean, that's extreme left to me.
What I'm saying?
Even considering.
I don't even think you've gotten to what I'm saying, though. Right? Like the issue is that we can talk about the far left, and I'm probably just going to agree with you that there's a lot of crazies. The timeline conversation that we need to have we need to remember what it was like from 1990 to 2016 when the right had a lot of strong cultural war. I remember growing up in a very conservative idea where evolution was viewed as evil and bad and anti everything, when this is an anti-science perspective that was dominant on the right, and it feels like we've forgotten about this. I grew up in a school where parents were advocating to remove any mention of evolution, any mention of adaptions over time. They just wanted to basically cut out a large...
Someone said Ozempic healthier than going for a walk, according to the doc. Like, it's just so stupid to say shit like that. It's just such a dumb statement. I don't know how to respond to something that's so dumb, dude. Ozempic healthier than going for a walk? Like one singular walk? Yeah, it'd be healthier than going for one singular walk. But like Ozempic alone, you realize it does not it's not an action, okay? When you go on Ozempic or whatever, you just don't eat. All right, you don't eat as much. Your appetite's different. Your body is processing chemicals differently. Like there's a reason you lose weight on things like Ozempic. It's not like a magical syringe that sucks out all your like fat or whatever. Like that statement you just said makes zero sense. Like some conservative commentator said that to you to make you mad about things because they know you're emotionally, you're easy to manipulate emotionally. Like I don't know how to respond to such a dumb. It's just not even an argument, dude. Like
large portion of biological science. And so while I agree that the left...
Doc not making money on me walking. Okay, then go for a walk. Go for a walk. Okay, if you have issues like that and they recommend either going for a walk or Ozempic, then yes, go for a walk if that works for you, okay? I'm proud of you. I support you, okay? Go for your walk. Good.
Left won the culture war in 2016.
By the way, like Ozempic is probably going to lose money for pharmaceutical companies like in the long run. Because like Ozempic, if you can fix the issue of obesity in America, then the profits that pharmaceutical companies in America make from providing care to people who suffer from like obesity, like the health issues that arise for these individuals is going to be much more plentiful than the amount that the insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies would make from people like that. Well, not insurance companies. I mean pharmaceuticals. Like Ozempic, when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry, would actually lose overall profits for the industry because it would be a form of preventative care, preventing other diseases from forming.
Well, they canceled their opponents off of it mostly, and they did a lot of bad stuff, and they went too far. I would just agree with that. The issue is that I'm still fundamentally left because my principles and my policies fall left, and I believe in a party, whatever party it is, that stands up for those things that I value.
Which specific, so outside of the crazy left stuff, what particularly would you look for in a party?
Strong institutions, not...
Like, what does that mean?
Strong institutions means institutions that are effective, that are power balanced, and are reactive with speed.
But does this mean...
Oh, yes, dude. Ezra Klein's abundance messaging on display on Tim Pool's Culture War podcast. Yes, institutions. The American people love institutions, and all they want is our institutions to be good institutions. They love our current institutions so much. Yes, thank you.
I mean, like the FBI or the Federal Reserve? Like, what institutions do you mean?
Most of them. So, like, most of the institutions that I think that we've erected are by and large pretty good. I think there's good reason for them,
Like
though I don't know all
the
of the
FBI.
Sure, but I don't know like all of the history for it. I'm willing to basically grant that I'm not smarter than like 200 years of American institutional development to just assume that I know better than the FBI necessarily, right?
No, I'm not trying to, it's not a gotcha. I mean, like, when you say the institutions, does it mean universities? Does it mean the post?
Universities, healthcare, the three branches of the government, the central banking, the NGO.
What is she saying right now,
the
bro?
NGO that exists to kind of like counterbalance and third-party check certain things. So when I talk about the institutions, I'm talking broadly about most of the institutions. The CDC,
but I think you recognize many of them grow corrupt over a long period of time, right?
Right. So this would be my counter. On the left, we say strong institutions, and the problem is that I think a lot of them have become rigid. And I don't know if you know much about metalsmithing, but there's this idea. But there's this idea when you're building swords, for example.
No, I'm not anti-institution. I'm anti this messaging. Okay, this messaging sucks, and the institutions, the idea should be running them better. But you say, like, for example, the framing should be, I like what our founding fathers laid out in the Constitution. Three branches of government. She said those words, three branches of government. But the reason you like three branches is because in our Constitution, our founding fathers made sure they were co-equal. And they could check and balance each other's power. Okay, that's why I like those branches of government. Okay, and today I think the powers are not done properly. We need to fix the powers, and also we have outside influences like money or social and cultural war topics that also make the political process work not as good. So I do like institutions. I like the Constitution. Okay, but right now we are not actualizing that document. We're not really doing the best form of what our government can be. Okay, so when I say I support institutions, I'm not saying I support how they're run right now. I do support what the intent is, but we need to, have this, whether you want reformist change, more radical change, whether you want to do some like policy tweaks or whatever it is, you frame the message in a rhetorically much more effective way. The way she just said this right now is the definition of just like, it's terrible. Okay. It's terrible. It's actually like, I don't want to say word salad, but like it really is. Zero concept of how to structure a narrative, zero concept of what platform she's on, zero concept of messaging or the dynamics at play. Like, I need to be in these spaces. I'm just telling you, someone like me, someone like Pisco, someone like, a couple of the other guys that we talk about and talk to, like, and I do want to also note, okay, I do want to say right away that I do want to emphasize, I did say guys, okay, and I do want to find more women who do these debates as well and these conversations. And there's actually a really good one, really good video you can watch. Okay, so let me find it really quick by a female creator because I want to make sure that everyone knows I'm not sexist. Okay, so this channel is very effective in the messaging and it hits on a really good point of what's happening right now. Okay, so Blonde Politics, the silly serious. Okay, there's a video called Dark Gothic MAGA, all right, to prove that women can, in fact, message very effectively. And I do love women. And I support feminism, as we all should. But this video, Dark Gothic MAGA, How Tech Billionaires Plan to Destroy America, really hits on Peter Thiel and the mass surveillance state that they're trying to grow in America, Skynet, 1984. So, like, we do have creators doing effective messaging, just not this one. Okay, just to be clear.
You need to have a strong sword. It needs to be both flexible and strong. So if it's too hard and not flexible, it'll break, right? And if it's too flexible but not hard enough, it'll bend. And so when I say strong institutions, I mean basically the properly crafted sword. It needs to be flexible enough to react to stuff,
okay,
which I think
properly
proceduralism
crafted
has killed
sword.
flexibility, but it needs to be strong enough
Great
to withstand
analogy.
people who might want to attack the Constitution,
Yes,
people who might want to be
understand
corrupt, which most people that enter politics are probably somewhat corrupt to some degree.
Yes, they are all corrupt. Okay,
right? It needs to be able to withstand these things with the assumption of what incentive structures do to human nature.
So who did you vote for in 2024?
I'm not American, so.
Oh, you're not American?
No.
Oh, you Canadian?
I'm Canadian.
All these Canadians coming to our country trying to influence our politics.
Yeah,
according to
true.
To do.
Okay, who'd you vote for in Canada? Trudeau?
I didn't vote in this last election because I haven't been in the country for like almost 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. So
Before that was Aaron O'Toole, who's a conservative. Before that was NDP.
you voted for a conservative?
Yep, I vote all. In Canada, we don't have this like.
Yeah, you vote for a party, don't you?
Well, we have like 6.
Conservatives in Canada are like Joe Manchin, okay, or better. Conservatives in Canada are like, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're moderate. They're conservative Democrats in Canada. So voting conservative there does not mean that much.
Right? It's less culturally baked in that like if you're a conservative, you're always conservative and forever conservative. Like most people in Canada will vote like maybe NDP locally.
Well, Canadian conservatives are pro universal healthcare. They're pro the universal healthcare in Canada. They want to like defund parts of it for sure, but they are very to the left of conservatives in America.
Provincial level, they might vote like liberal, and then at a federal level,
explain
they
what this
might
stuff
vote, like,
means.
something
You're
else,
on
right?
Tim
Like, that's
Pool.
pretty
They don't know what you're
standard in Canada.
saying.
So U.S.-wise, you would probably still find yourself aligned with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, theoretically, if I had been able to vote and I was American, I probably would have voted.
This is what I can't understand. I mean, by all means, criticize the Trump administration, whatever. I don't care. The Obama administration. I'm not going to speak to anyone before when I like Bill Clinton. I can say very little about. I was a child. But I can say that Bush sucked and violated the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Obama sucked, violated the Constitution, and we can go into great detail how. And Joe Biden and his administration was probably the most egregious violation of constitutional norms and our institutions that I've ever seen in my life.
Sure, and then now we have like.
I think I might ban JP. I think JP is actually a bot. It needs to be a bot, right? Jolah calls Trump a threat. That is a bot, and they use the dude. Has JP this entire time been a bot in chat? Like actually though, they have that one like Dash. What is that called again? That Dash the AIs use. That one like you see that message, right? I'm gonna pin it. I'm gonna pin this to chat. Do you guys see what I mean? It's got to be an AI. Jolah calls Trump a threat, but Trump gave us peace, jobs, borders, and $2 gas. If that's a threat, bring it on. Jolah can't handle that the working class, Latinos, and even lifelong Democrats are moving to MAGA because they're tired of his team burning flags while they burn paychecks. Bro, it's definitely a bot. It's definitely a bot, dude. No, it's actually a bot. It's actually a bot. No, it's actually a bot. Jolah thinks yelling democracy means indicting political opponents and banning red hats. Meanwhile, MAGA is winning hearts by standing for faith, for family, and freedom. Dude, JP is not. I'm telling you, dude. I know JP's always on, but the more Jolah screams, dude. Wait a second. JP just said after that, the more Jolah screams fascist, the more America remembers who locked them down, masked their kids, and called free speech hate. Hint, it wasn't Trump. Dude. He's responded to me before? Nah. JP's definitely an AI, bro. No, it's an AI. It's an AI. There's no way, dude. It's definitely a bot, bro. It's definitely a bot in chat. Holy crap.
2024 Trump, who I would argue is like also violating the Constitution, like pretty openly. And so I guess my question to you would be, I don't really want to participate in any of this. First of all, if I was an American, I'd be voting in my midterms and my primaries and my locals, right? Not just my federal, which most people don't even do. Most people that complain about their politics don't even vote at their primaries, which is how you get the nuance in your own party. If you're mad, like that's what I say to leftists, if you're mad that the Democrats don't represent you, vote in your primaries. If you're not voting in your primaries, you'll never get represented at a federal level. Like, what are you even talking about?
What are they? There's a word for this when someone believes in voting to change things that the left uses. I forgot what it was. Probably
a stupid liberal.
It's like...
It's electoralism. Okay. It's electoralism. It's electoralism. Okay.
No, it's like votarian or like it's some word like that.
Votarian.
Voterist or something. A person who believes that voting.
Why is she so bad at this, bro?
System.
I believe in democracy. Right. And I think democracy is the best system we've arrived at thus far. Not because I think democracy is a fundamental good or capitalism. I think that they are two systems that we have created that take incentive structures that almost make people always do bad shit, power, money, greed. And it has, with those incentive structures, made the best country with the most human rights and the most flourishing in all of human history.
Thanks.
Okay. I am done watching her Tim Pool appearance. You know my opinions. Okay, you know my opinions. She is right though. I am scared to criticize a woman on camera because the radical left is gonna call me a sexist. But yeah, thank you for watching. Drop a like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna go to the bathroom quick. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and then I'll come back and take some calls. Okay, I'll probably just make a new YouTube Shorts stream when I get back though. All right, guys, I'll be back in 8 minutes. 1 second. Wow, you applied to work as an ATC. How do you think my outlook is with the FAA currently? Wow. Well, I think you'll do well because they are looking for more DEI hires. So I hope you're doing good. I do hope you're doing good, man. I hope it goes well if you do. It seems like a high stress job though, like legit. It seems like a very high stress job. I'd be. Yeah, that's a. You got a lot of responsibility there. Nice to see you. This guy seems pretty chill. No, I'm not chill. I'm not chill. I'm not chill at all. I'm a liberal. Liberals can't be chill. We gotta talk about pronouns all day. Close the loopholes. True. Let's see. They said Trump was a tyrant, but he never censored speech or journalists. Oh. I did wash my hands. You want a tutorial? You can see my hands are wet from peeing on them, dude. Okay, wait. 2 liters of water per day? What? Okay, I'm making a new stream for calls. I don't know if I'm gonna get any, but I'll be right back. I'm making a new stream for calls, guys. If we don't get any callers. Well, actually, yeah, if you're watching this stream, refresh my channel. I'm making a new stream for callers. We'll do some live calls. If you want to call in, join me there. I'll see you there in a second, okay? I'll see you there in a second. You can call the phone number again right now. I'll take your call, okay? But I'm ending this stream, all right? Listen, I'm ending this stream. We're going to a new YouTube Shorts, okay? Appreciate everyone. If you drop a like, comment, subscribe. Please consider donating to Jolah Politics on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. You can see it on the screen. Jolah Politics, really appreciate it. I have a nice big fundraising goal that I want to hit by the end of the year for a new studio. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chris, for $5 on Venmo. Thank you so much. I'll add that to the goal then. Thank you so much. I don't know what name you are in chat, but I really appreciate that. Thank you. You could use the coffee link as well. Okay, I'm making a new stream. If you're watching this stream, okay, literally just refresh my YouTube channel. Refresh my channel. Refresh my channel. I'll be right back. Okay, you'll be safe. You'll be safe. I'll be home. I'll be home soon. All right, just gotta get the milk. All right, I'll be right back. It gets added to the goal. Anything on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, and coffee, I could add to the goal. I could add it. I could add that manually. I found out how to add it manually to the website. Then I could just change the base number so it can track on there as well. So if anyone donates on there, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you. I know you donated before as well, multiple times. Thank you so much. I'll be right back. I'm gonna come back, Kyle. Can I send Starbucks? If you want to send, if you want. I don't drink that much coffee, but I like their breakfast sandwiches. All right, I'll be back. Barbara Norris. Hi, Barbara Norris.